My mind is open.
All right, let's go back to the phones as we go. Let us go to east of the Rockies, Steve in Columbia, Missouri. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, George. Hi, Marshall.
Hi.
I've really enjoyed the show, but I guess I have a question about your theory.
Sure, go ahead.
If Homo sapiens have been around for 250,000 years, that means the Anunnaki were here back then doing altering, right?
Right.
So they, I guess, needed a place to land and take off back then. So why weren't the pyramids and the stone, why were they built, 5,000 years ago or so?
Hello?
Yes.
I lost some of the verbiage there.
Did it drop out on you? Go ahead real quickly again, Steve.
I'm sorry.
250,000 years ago is what they claim they found the remains of Homo sapiens.
Okay, right. So, and then the Anunnaki, if they built the pyramids and that slab, how come they waited till the last 5,000 years to build those?
Well, we don't know exactly when they were built, Steve. We think they were built perhaps 10,000 years ago. And the reason...
It's still a long time to wait for the 250,000 years they've been here.
You see what he means,
question.
Marshall?
It's a good question, Steve. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry.
Time lapse.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we're not sure they all stayed during that time period. I don't think they stayed here 400,000 years, did they?
We don't have any records other than the King's List. In other words, this all comes from the Sumerian King's List, which tells how many kings there were and how long they reigned. And if you add them all up, it goes back to 450,000 years. So that must have been when kingship started.
I wonder if they left and came back.
I'm sure they were going back and forth, George.
Maybe every time the planet got close, Nibiru, they took off and went back.
Could be.
They had to get the gold back anyway, didn't they?
They were shipping the gold back. Absolutely. Some of them had to take the ships and take it back.
Let's go to Long Beach, California. Jack, you're up with us on Coast to Coast. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, what I was thinking is that when the continents were together, when Africa and South America were together, if you run them together from space, you can actually see a landing strip going across both continents. And the one reason they may have, left and not been able to come back is because the land separated, and they were going to Africa for the gold. So if you look at it in Life magazine in the middle 50s, I'm 74 years old, and there was proof in the skies that they could look down and see actual landing strip going from South America to Africa. And that's all I wanted to contribute.
All right.
Okay,
do you see that at all, Marshall? Have you seen that?
Never heard about that one, George.
Nor have I.
That's a new one on me.
I know the continents fit like gloves.
Yes, they do.
You can see that.
The separation that's still going on is what's causing the tectonic plates to cause volcanoes and so forth. My theory in the book, I show diagrams of that time frame. And if there was a hole on the other side of the planet, like the Pacific Ocean, if you looked at the Pacific Ocean, took all the water out of it, it's a huge hole. And if there was a collision, which they talked about between the planets, the material that came out of that hole could be the asteroid belt, and the continents then had to move to balance the spinning Earth. The Earth has to spin in kind of a balanced way, and if all the land left is on one side, it's out of balance. That's my theory.
Though the continental drift was really developed in 1912 by Alfred Wegener, it started in 1596, the theory that the continents were all together and then split apart and separated.
Okay.
That's fascinating, all by itself.
You're just wealth of information, George.
I am a human encyclopedia, Marshall.
You are.
Fairfax, Virginia, we go. Dan, it's your turn. Hi, Dan.
Hi, how you doing today, George?
Good, Dan.
I just want to say you got a fascinating show here. I've been listening for a few years now, and it's just a really great show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quick that I'm a firm believer. You guys touched on it before that slowly we get messages, whether through movies or what have you. But have you guys ever heard of a set of books? The author's name was Robert Doherty. It was called Area 51.
Yes,
and
I've heard of that.
You've heard of those? I've been reading those books, and I'm just fascinated by them because I just think that somewhere this guy had, it almost seemed like he had some type of insider information, some of the ways that he blended everything together, from talking about the pyramids, Area 51, the alien connection, and all that. And I was just wondering, your take on maybe those books or, other things.
I haven't read them, Dan. I mean, I've heard of them, and I think it's an area that I may get into in my next adventure because it's fascinated me also about what went on there.
And the latest adventure will be?
Whatever I determine I need to know, George. I'm the kind of guy that just, if I see something I really want to know something about, I go into it.
Don't hold back on me, Marshall. Whatever you go into.
I'll call you, George, when I'm ready.
San Diego, California. Cesar. Hi there.
Hi there. Very fascinated by your show. I just wanted to ask if you think that, I'm from San Diego, that if you think that there might be like a major cataclysm here regarding huge waves surrounding us with this coming of the Nibiru.
If that planet comes around, Marshall, what do you expect?
The Greeks called it trouble. It causes earthquakes. It causes volcanic eruptions. It actually stripped the atmosphere off of Mars. They were using Mars as a way station, and when it came in that time of the flood, it affects everything in the area, and it affected the Earth. Nemesis. I think the Greeks call it Nemesis.
I'm glad you brought up the Greeks. All the stories about the Greek gods. Were we talking about the Anunnaki as well?
Yes, same gods. Right?
Same time period too, right?
All the way back, 12 of them the same. You could look at their characteristics of Jupiter and Neptune and Zeus and Poseidon. They were the brothers. They were Enlil and Enki.
All right, let us go to Karen in Houston. Hey, Karen.
Hey there, George. It's good talking with you again.
You too.
Marshall, you were saying you're going on to something new next, maybe, and in line with all of this studies. Well, I have a couple of things I would like addressed by someone in a really good way.
Okay.
On a previous show with George, a guest had dinner with Mr. Sitchin and his wife, and she mentioned that if we really knew all that Mr. Sitchin knew, that we would be fearful. I'd like to know what that comment meant.
Well, unfortunately, she's no longer with us.
Yes.
She passed away, and I think that it could mean a lot of things. I don't want to speculate because I didn't have a conversation with her. I mean, I did have a conversation with her, but we didn't talk about that.
Okay. Another thing would be, why were there dinosaurs? I mean, the age of the planet, were they originally here? And that's where a serpentine group maybe evolved and then sort of messed with the Anunnaki plan. I mean...
Karen, that's a wonderful question. The dinosaurs are an area that I haven't gotten into. At one time, I went down to Ica, and these Ica stones showed men riding dinosaurs. Now,
Well, then they were household pets or something.
Well, our scientists tell us that couldn't possibly happen. There's a big gap in time between Homo sapiens and the dinosaurs. So, the things that are depicted on these stones down there are still a mystery to me, and I'm not sure that it's a valid mystery, but I'm going to certainly investigate it because I have interest in dinosaurs.
Well, we know they weren't fossil fuel, don't we, George?
That's right.
And if they found imprints of dinosaurs and, bipedal people, footprints crossing each other, there's something there, too.
Karen, you may have a great point there, and I certainly am going to investigate it. I haven't really focused on what my next project is, but I'm a curious fellow who will go after whatever intrigues me.
And here we go now. In Zecharia Sitchin's book, one of them, The End of Days, he says Nibiru's last visit to the planet Earth, close by, was 556 B.C., which means then that in the year 3100, it should come around again.
Right. I had zero. I think
so we don't have to worry about it.
The Star of Bethlehem, to me, George, might have been Nibiru.
That's an interesting theory.
Yeah, so that would be around close to 550 feet. But
2,000 years ago. Yeah, that's give or